Hi, and welcome to another version of the Social Security Nerds podcast. I'm Mike Hayflick along with my fellow nerd, Russ Geiser. Russ, today we're going to talk a little bit about how someone can reach a maximum Social Security benefit. And we're going to talk about this concept called COLAs, or cost of living adjustments. I am proud to sit here next to a published guy, a published author, a resource to many publications. We're actually going to be using a resource of gobankingrates.com where Russ is mentioned. And we thought we'll use this as kind of an inspiration today to talk about those concepts that I just mentioned.
Yeah, good jumping off point. This article written by Nicole Spector, Go Banking Rates. She wanted to know and understand really and let people know, like, what is the maximum Social Security benefit? So we figured this would be a good thing for us to talk about
Absolutely.
today. And then what cost of living adjustments are. And given that we're in election year, can the president influence what those adjustments are? I will chat on that really quick as well.
Yep. And so let's just start first with the concept of a maximum benefit. How is a benefit even created? Well, first, you have to have what are called 10 quarters or 40 credits of earnings. It's a pretty small amount of earnings per quarter to get a credit. After 40 credits, you become a fully insured person, meaning that on your own benefit record, you have earned a Social Security benefit at some point. And again, typically it's at age 62 that you could first decide to claim a benefit.
Right.
Well, beyond that, how then do they calculate the amount you'll be awarded or the benefit that you're earning? And a lot of people get this wrong, Russ, and I don't blame people for this, but I just think there's always these kind of misconceptions, or they might be overlapping concepts of how pensions might be calculated with how Social Security is calculated.
Right.
So I'll give a quick explanation of this. Think of your highest 35 years of earnings over your entire work career. Now, let's just say, for instance, you have 20 years of earnings. Well, you have 20 years of non-zero numbers added together with 15 zero years. Your benefit now has zeros built in. Clearly, your benefit is going to kind of be lower in those first, say, 20 years. Every year, though, that you gain another non-zero, meaning you've earned something, you're replacing one of those zeros. So let's get to the point of 35 figures, 35 years where you actually had earnings. Well, now you have 35 years of earnings to create what would be called the actual monthly benefit at full retirement age that you're entitled to. Okay, so that's just to get any benefit. How do you get the maximum benefit? I'll let Russ kind of go into that now. Getting the maximum benefit that you could ever achieve.
Yeah, so every year there's a cap on how much of your income can be taxed, or basically taxed, the FICA tax that goes to Social Security, and that usually goes up every year. But let's just say for those 35 years, you paid the maximum allowable into Social Security for all those 35 years. That's how you achieve the max benefit, essentially. And that number for the year 2024, so the year we're in, if you had that happen and you're 70 years old, meaning you then deferred as long as you could, the maximum allowable benefit is $4,873 per month. Okay, so I guess I'll just talk quickly now about cost of living adjustments. Cost of living adjustments, your benefit goes up automatically, but it's not guaranteed. What does that mean? Okay, so we call these COLAs. If the CPIW for wage earners and clerical workers for the year prior, that's the inflation metric they use to determine, and they being the government, usually around October when the fiscal year is starting for the federal government, they'll say CPIW was 3.2%, so that is the benefit increase for Social Security income for the next year.
Right, and so what they'll do, they'll take the quarter, July, August, September of the previous year, compare it to the basically the average of July, August, September of the following year, and whatever that difference is, that will be the COLA that's awarded. Russ, you mentioned that they're not always guaranteed. We know that in 2009, 10, and 2015, there was no COLA awarded simply because that CPI just didn't warrant it. So nobody got a COLA in those 3 years. But typically, there is a COLA, at least over the last 48 to 49 years that legislation has been in place.
Yeah, and if like you just said, if the cost of living adjustment is zero or negative, sometimes that can happen, then Social Security does not get a boost.
Mhm.
But as long as that number is positive, it's automatic that the benefit gets increased. Now, that being said, this presidential election, you hear a lot about Social Security. Does that matter with COLA? The short answer is no, unless the president and their policies have a direct impact on inflation. Really, that would be the only way. They would have to have some sort of legislative action to really make any sort of change to the benefit. So if you're there, you're claiming Social Security, or you're about to, the raise you get will not directly be impacted immediately by whoever would take office.
That's right. And it's been since 1975 that the legislation has been in place, that Congress does not have to make decisions on whether there should be or should not be a COLA. The CPI will warrant whether or not there's a COLA awarded for Social Security claimants. Now, who gets the COLA? You can get a COLA if you are in your 62nd year. So you turn 62 in a given year, you'll get that upcoming COLA for the following year, whether or not you're taking your Social Security benefit. So you don't get them prior to that, but at 62 and beyond, you do. Just one more thought too on this maximum earnings. To get the biggest benefit you can get, you have to earn the most that FICA tax of 6.2% currently is paid on. That's a base salary of $168,600 or earnings of $168,600. That typically goes up, right, Russ, every year?
Typically, yeah. So if you throw over a 35-year period, that ceiling was much lower. So business owners out there, people who have just high salaries or high income earners, if you're hitting that every year for the last 35 years, it was much lower than that 35 years ago.
Awesome.
Today it's that 168.6 number.
Yeah, so hopefully you have a little bit of a better understanding of how a maximum benefit can be reached. We often hear from people, hey, their benefit is this much or mine is that much and mine compares maybe lower or higher. And I think a lot of people have always wondered, why is it what it is? Like, how did they calculate it? It's all based on your own earnings, 35 years of your highest years indexed for inflation.
Right.
Okay, not the raw numbers. So 1990 numbers are actually indexed upward for inflation when they do the average monthly benefit.
Yeah.
And again, COLAs, they're automatic, but as Russ said, not always guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully we demystified how your benefit's calculated, how it can increase once you started taking your benefit, and even before, and how those benefits accumulate or grow rather. If you need us, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, 716-362-7099. Call us, text us there. We're happy to answer any questions you might have throughout the week. And of course, look for us weekly, releasing these videos for you, and just really educational, wanting you to understand what is likely your biggest household guaranteed income benefit for retirement.
Yep, incomeplanhq.com, at Social Security Nerds to find our YouTube videos. As I've said many times, we are certified in Social Security claiming strategies. We are specialists in retirement income planning. We have embraced the complexity of these topics. Why, Russ?
So you don't have to.
Exactly. We'll see you next week.
Take care.